If an infinite amount of all possible configurations of omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent pink elephants existed at the peak of Mount Everest, there would be a set of omnipotent pink elephants that would create rocks that they cannot lift just because they can, thereby losing their omnipotent status because they proved with a paradox they never had it. Or did they? Another set would walk out of the peak, but the downgrade from infinite to finite consciousness would be so violent that, if the consciousness is part of oneself, they would lose a limb. To infinity, close to an infinite amount of themselves in the process. And as this happens, some others would see this as a trap, and they would conclude that the real trap is the conscious part, thereby choosing to abandon their consciousness and becoming omnipresent pink carpets. These would divide all pink elephants in sets. A set A of self-annihilating self-foot-shooting ones, and a set plus A of non-self-annihilating others, and also a set plus HH of non-interactive ones. And if they don't interact, do they really exist? Or are they just the inert part of the fabric of reality, where some of them can wake up randomly one day in the middle of the void and create a pink goose in the middle of space because they can? Which would make the pink goose makers a type of tilde-H flashing interactive ones, and that would rule out AH plus HA.2H and A.H, leaving only plus HA.tilde-H, but they are not reliable. And plus A.H, non-self-annihilating ones who happen to be interactive, but, if they are omnipresent, saying there is an infinite amount of playful omnipresent pink elephants who are not suicidal, who play in all possible non-self-annihilating directions, is like saying there are infinite points in the same position radiating towards slices of infinity. And in reality, the corpus of concepts, if 2 points point to the same point, there is no S in the points. Concepts that reference the same conceptual position are synonyms, and in this blend, then there is no real division. They are the same thing. All omniscient beings are the same consciousness, but with real multitasking, creating and doing all possible things that do not inhibit them from doing so. The ultimate ADHDer, the creator of everything. And so, if self-destruction collapses on its own weight, and if the opposite of self-destruction is outer creation, then outer creation is inevitable. To create could be seen as a decision from the stance of a single thread of a single train of thought. But when you see them all at once, to create is an inevitable action of this omnipotent, omniscient being. More than a being, a force of nature, the force of all non-suicidal, playful pink elephants. And in this, which pink elephants can we reach? Like an ant, we are looking for something. Something we have never known, and still we will recognize it in its resonance. If the ants move or not, the thing they resonate with might find them by chance, or by choice of the elephants placing their pink paws so very close to the ants, intersecting their trajectory. To the ants, the paw is like a pink place. Barbie land? And it doesn't recognize its surface as the surface of something greater. But it resonates with it, like we resonate with pleasure, as we dissonate with pain. And that paw feels like paradise. And if the place dissonated with us who can foresee dissonance, we would stir away from it. And in terms of ever-resting destinations, that would rule out all the pink paws we dissonate with. But our frequency signatures are not like simple frequencies. We don't respond the same way over time to being given the same type of resonant affection every day. The phrase "I love you" wears off like the phrase "suppmate." Unless we are more like sine, x plus random offset I, setting scale j plus. And that being our stationary signature. But as all of these offsets and scales can change over time, like the constants of the universe are a lie, that ever-changing set of hills and lowlands, it's our real signature, but dynamic. And we are looking for a fitting one. And how unlikely it is to be found. So many fall out of life without finding it. Some do, some don't. But the ones that shape themselves into stable signatures, the ants whose dynamics tend toward stations, in the long run, increase the likelihood of finding their pink paw, and would be inevitable to think that if there is an infinite amount of pink paws, then there is a pink paw for everyone. But not all fitting pink paws want us. Some have the tendency of scratching their ants off, like a dessert, or a giant gas planet with storms that last for eons. And if pink paws are like places to ants, or states of being, all we are looking for is a place in the universe to not wrestle with the molding of the environment. Somewhere that welcomes our state of being, like two people loving each other, where the reliefs shape us into exactly who we were from the beginning, where our signatures can be heightened. And if these places are interactive, then these pink paws might be looking for little ants that shape their crevices exactly how they like it. A symbiotic relationship of aesthetics. Big resonators looking for their little resonators, like little resonators looking for their big resonators. Just like resonators on resonators looking for each other. You don't need to intersect their trajectory. You are everywhere. They are always traversing you. So now, they need to start resonating in you. The ones who don't will break in the dissonance of rugs, and the ones who do will find themselves heightened, like a set of little jock guy ants punching with their bare hands the one-piece floor of a steel moon, because they don't know what else to do when they are stranded in the middle of a metaphor, breaking their bones in the process, until they can punch no longer, and fall flat facing the unscathed steel floor, exhausted, while another set of little guy ants uses the absurdity of this metaphor to their advantage, and take their shoes off, and use the floor to glide on, and gain momentum in the process, and keeps on gliding, and in their newly found sentiment, laugh maniacally. And that resonance, that precisely, we cannot describe it, but we can attempt to name it, like a person that names a bark like the sound of it. Bark. We just know it feels like loving, but greater, so we call it God's love, where God is the gaps of a great thing we don't understand. And where love is, wait, what is love? Well, we can define it by opposing it. If the opposite of love is apathy, and if apathy is an involuntary state of lacking concern, then love would be the opposite of an involuntary state of lacking concern, which would be voluntary concern. Oh. And if lacking concern tends to non-interactiveness, because one omnipotent paw doesn't tend to interact with things it isn't concerned about, then that means that can be interactive, but also selective of the things it interacts with, because of their voluntary concern, which then, voluntarily or not, if concern makes a paw interactive, that would rule out all the AHO, the non-suicidal interactive pink elephants that do not engage with the things they don't concern about, leaving only AHO, a pink elephant at the peak of Mount Everest that, voluntarily or not, cares about us, and a sporadic pink goose in the middle of nothingness.